guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Madison. I do tarot and oracle readings. Normally I'll add in astrology notes as well, but since this is a timeless video and this is just about past lives, this is going to be a tarot and oracle reading for the most part. I might talk about astrology if it comes up. I also have within the decks some of the new cards that I designed. I'm going to add to this video kind of like a little description of the cards that I designed and show you guys what they look like and stuff like that. If you are new to my channel or you're just not really interested, you can go ahead and skip forward. That's totally fine. But this is just something I've been working on. I'm really excited to share it with you guys. I really want to get some feedback on it. I also want to share that I have my website up now. It's called Writing Spiritually. And I have a few posts up already. Obviously, there's more content to come, especially content that's going to be associated with the basic astro cards that I designed. So I'm really excited to kind of like start combining these things and really creating, I guess, more of like a solid platform, if that makes sense. I was kind of doing this on the side while I was working for child support, but then when the pandemic happened, I got dismissed. I've been dismissed for 5 months, and it's finally like, oh, I guess I'm not going to go back, and I've been wondering what exactly it is I want to do, and it's given me the freedom to start doing creative projects, and it's kind of led me to this type of work, and I really enjoy doing it. I want to continue to make free content for you guys. A big way that you can help me is to like this video if you like it, and subscribe to me if you haven't, and then maybe share one of my videos with a friend who you think that would be interested, and that would really help me out a lot. If you want to check out my website, you can either go to the link in the description, or you can just go to writingspiritually.com and it'll take you straight there, and you can sign up for email updates. You'll get updated whenever I post something new. I'm going to add journal prompts to a lot of the things I post. It's going to be spiritual topics. It'll be about astrology, tarot and oracle readings. I put my, if you don't have an Instagram, I'm going to start putting my weekly pick-a-cards on there too. So you can kind of like get an email if you subscribe, and it'll go ahead and have the email for you on Sundays, and you can just like look and pick whichever card you want. You can get the description there, and you can also get journal prompts. And I'll continue to do that for new moon and full moon and any other type of aspects or transits I feel like, covering. I might also start producing more content because there's more subjects I want to cover, but doing once a week, especially doing full moon, new moon, and, each month, that already takes up 3 weeks out of the month. So I only get like 1 week to do something different, which is what this video is. This video is going to be past lives. So I want to just continue to do more content like that. So I might start producing more videos more often, especially if I'm going to start trying to make this my focus and my main source of, meeting my basic needs, stuff like that. And I really enjoy creating this free content for you guys, and I do want to continue to do it. So just letting you guys know. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the pick a card. Okay, go ahead and take your 3 deep breaths. Figure out exactly what it is that what kind of messages you're hoping to get from this video. And then pick intuitively between the 3 decks starting on the left. 1, 2, or 3. I will have the timestamps down below in the comments, so just go ahead and skip ahead to whichever deck you chose. If you picked pile number 1, then that means that a big part of your past life had to do with Aquarius energy. Since you are living in the age of Aquarius now, I think that actually will totally benefit you, because I get the feeling in your past life that you might have been drawn to being more of an independent person. You might have been a bit more go with the flow, but you were also an opinionated person, and we can see kind of how that played out into your life. If you feel in this life that you're drawn to behave in that way, that's because it's familiar to you. Or if you're drawn to people who are like that, it's because it's familiar to you. We have 5 of Cups here, so this tells me that in your past life there might have been a lot of mourning. You went through something that was traumatic. And we also have the World here, so this tells me as well that you had many opportunities ahead of you, but that doesn't overshadow the fact that there was something traumatic that happened. And we have 7 of Coins, which tells me that there's something in your life that you worked on, that you never really saw the benefits come from it. So you might have been a humanitarian with the Aquarius card here. So that might have been what a lot of your work had to do with, because we know that humanitarian work takes a long time because not everybody is interested. Many people are more focused on themselves. But the Aquarius energy is all about, in a way, being individual, but like in your unique way, but also like embracing the collective. You know, Aquarius is so good at being not only separate from others, but also part of a collective. They care a lot about friendships and having close friendships and living in a community. So I feel like that might have been a part of what your work was. And through that work, you did have a lot of loss. And I don't think that you saw the full benefits of what it was that you spent your time doing. But I think that you did still get a lot of stuff done with the World card here. Ooh, believe in yourself, unleash your inner unicorn. That is a message for this life, because with that Aquarius energy, that means that you were all about being unique in the past, if that makes sense. And so in this life, it's important for you to be unique as well. There's things about you that are very different, and that's okay. You know, we need to nurture our differences and accept people's differences. If you feel like you've been ostracized or, you know, made to feel different because you were unique, that's just a part of your karma here on earth, because in your past life, you did make changes based on the fact that you were a unique person. We have my inner compass knows the way. So that tells me too in this life that you are actually meant to continue some of the work that you didn't finish in your past life. Some humanitarian efforts. Since you are living in the age of Aquarius now, it might be the best time for you to start pursuing these things because you're kind of meant to do it. We have new moon in Virgo, a time to give rather than take. So the messages we're continuously getting here have to do with giving and humanitarian work. Okay, in your past life, we have 5 of Wands here. So this tells me that there was a lot of competition and conflict in your past life. So whatever the work you were doing, you were meeting a lot of resistance with it. And it did have to do with your unique and different abilities. People felt intimidated by this. And you were a strong person, like sure of yourself. This is something that a lot of Aquariuses do like get grief from other people about, is their individuality and the fact that they are so like okay with being themselves. We also have 9 of Swords here. So this tells me too that there was a struggle with boundaries. A lot of this conflicts had to do with boundaries. And you felt like you constantly had to defend what it was that you had worked so hard to achieve. It's also Moon in Sagittarius here. I feel like you were constantly looking for somewhere else in your life. And you might do that in this life too. Like you're constantly like looking out and being like, what's next for me? What next path should I take? And you're just not exactly sure what it is, but it's right here next to this, my inner compass knows the way. So your consciousness does know the way, and you are meant to go on a specific path, and I feel like you know exactly what it is, like you're working towards it. And we have 2 of Pentacles here, so this tells me too that having balance is very important in this life as well. So not letting yourself get too mixed up in, you know, living for somebody that's not you, if that makes sense. It's important for you in this life to find a balance. And I think the balance is going to be between yourself and between others. But we'll see. We'll pull more cards. We have fire. So there's a fire deep inside of you. And I think that it comes from what you accomplished in your past life. Your soul and your spirit is kind of ready to pick back up where you left off. So it's important for you in this life to definitely follow what you feel your intuition is telling you, because you're meant to finish work that you didn't finish in your past life. We have breathe here. Okay, that gives me, that's right over here with that, a time to give rather than take. So I think in this life, you were able to catch your breath in a way that you weren't able to in your last life. So in your last life, you might have, I mean, obviously, pretty much any time in the past is going to be more difficult in a lot of ways that isn't difficult now. Obviously, we have different challenges now, but the way that we like overall lived, wasn't modern. So I feel like in a way you're able to relax in a lot of ways that you could not in your past life. And this gives you the opportunity to give more. Whenever I feel like in your past life, it might have been hard to give. Like, I think you really focused on humanitarian work and you tried to do your best, but there were ways and there were parts of your life where you weren't able to give. Community. Another message that community is really important to you. That's over here with that balance card I was talking about earlier. So that tells me that in this life, it's important for you to find that balance between community and yourself and follow your inner compass whenever it comes to this, and allow your passions to drive you. You have many choices in this life, There are many things that you could do that are going to be helpful for other people. So it is kind of important to find that balance there and find something that really you feel passionate about so that you can focus your energy on that. We have the star here. So that is Aquarius again. It's also about being hopeful. So in your past life, you did have a lot of conflicts with people, but you still remained hopeful because you knew that what you were focusing on was right. So the time and energy put into your projects ended up benefiting you, and you did actually make a lot of movement in your life, I believe, in your past life. We have 2 of Wands again, so this tells me once again that you are always looking. You're always looking for the next thing. You're always figuring out, what can I do next? Especially when it comes to things that you're passionate about. And it's over here with that boundaries. So I feel like maybe your life in your past life blended with your work. So you weren't somebody who separated the two very much. You probably didn't sleep very much. I'm getting the vibe you didn't have much of a personal life. Everything to you was work. And your friends were people you met through work. And you were just almost obsessive about this humanitarian effort that you were trying to make happen. We have 9 of Cups here. This is kind of squished between those 2 of Wands that we have repeated over here. So I think that tells me that you might always be looking for something. Always looking, but I feel like it's important for you to make sure that you are also putting yourself first as well. You're also taking care of yourself, making sure your needs are met, and making sure that your boundaries with the work that you're doing are strong, because it is still important for you to take time off and rest and not work as a machine. You're not meant to be a machine. You're meant to experience this life, not work yourself into the ground. And we have 8 of Swords here too. So this tells me, I'm getting the feeling that this is from this life, that you might suffer with some type of mental stuff. And a lot of it makes you feel trapped, like you have no control over what happens in your life. And we know that that's not necessarily true. Yes, we don't have control over external things that happen because we're just not meant to. That's not a part of what our life purpose is. Our life purpose isn't to control other people or to control what happens to us. That's not a part of our purpose here on life. A part of our purpose is to experience the human experience, and everything that we go through and the conditioning we go through that we're meant to break apart from is a big part of our work now currently. We've been talking about how there's a spiritual awakening on a mass scale, and I think that has to do with the internet. Because we're reaching so many people, we're able to express this stuff. I'm able to share these things with you. In the past, if I would have been doing this work, it would have only been for people who live near me who were interested in this type of stuff. But now it can be anywhere. I'm making friends and making connections through this channel from people who live all over the United States, and I've bought cards from people who live on the other side of the world. So we're all connecting and we're all talking about this stuff. And since we're kind of, we're moving into the age of Aquarius this year, I feel like a lot of people are being forced to face their shadow, and that's not something that people normally did before. I bought a book the other day called Soul Astrology, and it's about your rising sign. And it tells people just what you're meant to do in this world with your current rising sign. And the reason I bring it up is because they mentioned in the book that in the past, people didn't really get past the first stage of their selves, you know? Like, whenever we're a child, we focus on ourselves. We're meant to. We're meant to be me, I. A lot of parents shame their children for this, and many times they'll get stuck because it is a normal part of development. So whenever it's shamed, it kind of like damages your development. So it's hard to move on into self-consciousness, then self-realization, and then enlightenment, right? That's what we're meant to kind of pursue here. So since we've been meeting a lot of different people and we're able to communicate worldwide, we're able to access this information and do things like fight our shadow self, fight our conditioning, because we can look online and we can connect with people online who are doing the same thing that we are, you know? And so we don't have to do it alone, or we don't have to wonder our whole lives what's wrong with us. Like, do you have things about yourself where you were constantly like, what's wrong with me? And you thought that what you were experiencing was so unique to yourself. I mean, of course, it's a unique experience in a way, but you are not the only person to have suffered with anything you've suffered with. Someone has had that in the past. Someone currently is suffering with that, you know? You are not alone. And so whenever we get into the I and the me, and we focus so much on our ego, it causes us to lash out. It causes us to isolate. It causes us to not have solid relationships with people. So I feel like in your past life, you weren't able to make the connections that you are making now. And so you were fighting against the ego, but you were doing it in a way that was like just by yourself. So it was hard to like communicate with people and figure out what exactly it was that you needed to do. But in this life, you have access to this information. So you'll be able to reach the next level a lot easier. Look at what your rising sign is, and comment it below, and maybe I can help you and share some of the information I know about rising signs. Okay, we have strength reversed here. So yeah, I think that kind of confirms a little bit over here of the fact that you did have the world. You had many options in this past life, but since you didn't reach totally like the abundance that you were kind of like heading for, in a way it made you feel like you didn't achieve enough. We have 9 of Pentacles. So that makes me feel like actually with your own personal stability, you did have abundance, which is awesome. So I think that you had like a strong family unit, or you were able to provide for yourself in a way that helped you not need, you know, financial things. I have here as well that this journey is long, and I think if it's spreading through multiple lifetimes, it definitely is a long journey, but that it's worth it. And then I also have the Devil reverse, which tells me to resist temptations. It tells me that it's important for you to resist temptations in this life. So if you might be a person who is prone to heavy drinking, prone to drug use, prone to emotional abuse, you know, like it, you know, if you're taught it in the home, then you perpetuate it out in your life. That doesn't make you a bad person, but it does mean that you kind of have to evaluate those things and figure out like, why am I so snappy? Why do I at people, you know? Okay, so yeah, that's what I have for you for your past life and what your past life was like. Let me know in the comments below if you feel this, like if sometimes you, like whenever you're settled with yourself, if you feel like this could have been a part of your past life, and if you feel like part of your mission in this world has to do with this Aquarius energy, this humanitarian type stuff. And if you do feel like you have some type of promise to the community, you know, that you are meant to fulfill in this life. Spirit wants you to remain hopeful and to continue on your path and let your intuition lead you into the type of work that you feel you're being drawn to. Okay. So that is it for group 1. Please leave a comment, like I said a couple of times. Sorry, I'm getting used to like YouTube talk. But yeah, please leave a comment to let me know if this resonated. Like the video if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, if you picked group 2, then a big part of your purpose in this life has to do with Sagittarius energy. So this tells me in your past life, you were a traveler. You were somebody who liked to go. You always wanted to be meeting new people, doing different things. You had a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and you had masculine energy as well. So a big part of your life and your past had to do with travel. Let's see how that applies to what's going on with you in this life. Okay, I have Son of Coins here. So this tells me that in your past life, you actually laid down roots somewhere. So you might have had the kind of like internal need to travel, but for some reason you weren't able to in this past life. So you kind of like put grouse down roots somewhere. I do feel like maybe you still travel. That's the message I'm getting. Like, you know, that's the message I'm feeling, is that you were still able to travel, but you had like a ground somewhere. Like that was like a place you always went back to. And I think that you had family there that you put roots into, and you continue to help your family. And they continue to live in that area. I have Trial here. So this tells me that something happened in your life that made you see things from a new perspective. You were meant to, in your past life, learn something new. And I feel like that knowledge followed you into this life. Dude, this card is crazy. Look at that. Do you see the faces? And then the moon and the sun? Beautiful. But yeah, in your past life, you were meant to go through these trials and see something from a new perspective. I feel like you wanted to travel a lot, but you felt like you had, you know, obligations at home. We have the Star card here. So this is Aquarius energy, humanitarian energy, hopefulness. I feel like you were a hopeful and positive person, which honestly, Sagittarius is a positive sign. A lot of people who have Sagittarius energy are like very positive. And I feel like you were very hopeful, and you were able to do what you wanted to do while also making sure that you provided for your family. We have your reality is a reflection of your inner world. So if you had positive energy in the past, which is what I'm feeling, I'm wondering if you have positive energy in this life too. Do you feel like you're always drawn to the positive? Or do you feel like you're more of a negative person? I'm kind of getting a split. So for some of you guys, you're still a positive person, which is awesome. You might have positive placements. You might just wake up and be a positive person. Who knows? But that helps you with your outer world. If you're somebody who kind of has a negative viewpoint, like you're kind of always like, oh, I don't deserve things and stuff like that, then in this life you are struggling a lot more to fulfill your purpose, because your past life is a part of this life, you know? So the things you didn't learn, you're meant to learn now. I am on the right path and divinely guided. So I feel like in your past life, you had a lot of help from spirit. The universe was there for you, and you kind of had like a personal connection with the universe. You had a personal connection with the higher self. And that helped you remain hopeful, and it helped you meet your needs because you just knew that the universe would take care of you. You didn't worry about it. You kind of did what you needed to do, went where you wanted to go, and the universe took care of you. I have Fixed Moon here. Hold your vision. So that gives me the feeling too that in your past life you had one particular goal, and you were hopeful in your life that it would happen for you. So you continue to, you know, pursue it. And through this you were able to see the things from the new perspective. This was the trials that you had to go through whenever you were pursuing this thing. We have 9 of Cups here. So that tells me that you had no problems treating yourself, treating other people. You were able to focus on yourself a lot, which I think is part of Sagittarius energy too. It's focusing on yourself. Because a lot of people do kind of hate on Sagittariuses because they do what they want. But if you give Sagittarius energy the freedom to do what they want, then they are very loyal to you. But it depends on if you're trying to restrict them or not. If you're trying to hold them down, you don't give them the ability to be playful and silly and go with the wind and do whatever because they're mutable, then you're not going to get a loyal Sagittarius. You're going to get somebody who doesn't really want to spend time with you because they'd rather go be with other people who are going to, you know, embrace their creative energy, you know? So I feel like that was something that you kind of like always had in your past life. I have a Mourning card here. So this tells me that you did suffer something at one point, the loss of something big. Something in my mind tells me that this was a family member. I feel like I'm really getting feelings that this energy from the past being masculine, and I feel like the loss, I think, was a partner, and I'm getting the feeling that it was a wife. That's what I'm getting. So I feel like at some point in your life you suffered in that way, and lost your wife. Your wife died before you did, and it was something that kept you awake at night. I think this was a part of your trial. I think that you kind of lived life not really worrying. I think you traveled a lot, but you were always able to send money home. And then at some point, your wife died. And now you're having to see things from a different perspective and realize that things aren't always going to be the way that you want them to be, and things aren't permanent. But I get the feeling too that you didn't make it hold you back, because this card is all about, like, being reversed. It's about escape. So I feel like you, and it's right here next to that, I am on the right path and divinely guided. So I feel like even though you suffered this loss and you went through the proper steps to mourn it and to go through the nights of worrying and stuff, I feel like you were still drawn to believing in the universe, believing in spirit. So you didn't let it paralyze you. You still continued to do what you felt your life needed. We have the divine here, so divine feminine. I had that masculine energy earlier, right? So I think that this tells me that this relationship that you had was a soulmate connection, and maybe, possibly, I'm getting the feeling of twin flame. So that means that this could be somebody that you could possibly meet again in this life. And you guys could kind of, like, you know, go through whatever the next trial is for you guys in this life. And I also have duality. Oh my gosh. And then, you guys, time. So it wasn't the right time for you. So that makes me feel like you lost your wife early. And that she was your other half. And then the duality in this life tells me that you guys are meant to meet each other again. And that time in the past just wasn't the right time for you guys. So that also doesn't mean that it has to be like you guys barely had a relationship. It could have meant that you guys are married for decades, but just for whatever reason, you lost her in a way that felt unprepared. It felt like maybe she was too young. It felt sudden. It wasn't something that, you know, happened in old age, you know? So I get the feeling that that wasn't the right time for you guys, but that you'll meet each other in this life. And then I have the Emperor here, so this is Aries energy. This tells me that you were a very controlled person, and I think that a part of all this loss, I feel like, helped you gain more control in your life. Because I feel like since you did have the Sagittarius energy of wanting to travel, wanting to experience different things, you kind of just went where the wind blew you. But whenever you suffered this loss, you had to start taking better control of your life. And I feel like that helped settle you down a little bit more. And that could have been with that planting the roots, could have been a big part of it. I have Judgment here. So I feel like towards the end of your life, you released judgment of yourself. That's over here with that mourning card. So through that experience, you released judgments of yourself. And you had to kind of like restart. But I feel like there was a blockage there for the rebirth. And that might have been this whole thing that you had to see from a new perspective. This whole thing that this like loss brought up for you. You released judgments you felt about yourself. You were able to gain back control. But this rebirth that you were meant to live, I don't think that you really fully experienced that. So that might be something in this life that you are meant to experience, is the rebirth of life after loss. Yeah, this tells me, I get the feeling that this is in your current life. I feel like you feel stuck, and you can see too in this card that the key is laying right there to unlock the door. So you have the skill, you have the capability to get out of whatever situation you're currently in, but I feel like you feel stuck. Whoa. Soulmate connection. You are meant to meet your soulmate. Possibly twin flame connection in this lifetime. Let me know below if you feel like you've already met this person, or if you feel like you dream about this person, or something like that. Like if you feel like this is resonating with you, of something that you feel just like deep inside. And then we have death again. And this time death is upright. Before it was reversed. So that tells me that in this life, you are prepared and you are ready to embrace the rebirth of your life. Because literally you are born again. Okay, this card appeared earlier too, but it was upright. So that was the morning of the relationship, and kind of like going through a really tough time of like not being able to sleep, feeling distraught because you had lost this person. But in this life, I feel like you're moved on from that. And I do have Ace of Cups reversed. So this tells me too that you need to open yourself up in this life to actually accepting a new relationship and allowing that energy in, because you're in the rebirth period and you're meant to meet this person. But of course, we always have to do the internal work before we can actually connect with a soulmate, because what we are attracted to in this life is the opposite of what we're meant to, have. We're attracted to things that feel comfortable to us, and many times it's from our past life, but we already experienced that. We don't need to experience it again. So we get drawn to things that just aren't really good for us. They don't really benefit us, and then the universe shuts it off. That's why our first few relationships don't always work out. Some people meet the person the first time, but of course we know that they're lucky, and that's rare. For most of us, our first couple relationships are comfortable in a toxic way. And then we have to let them go, and we have to grow and move on, and then realize that it's like, wow, that relationship didn't work. Friendships too. It's just like, oh, wow, that friendship was just not working for me, but I stayed friends with that person for so long. Why? And just kind of like start figuring that stuff out. But I feel like you are closed off to love at this point. But in order for you to meet your soulmate and for you guys to reconnect in this life, you have to do the work to be able to accept love in your life currently. Open yourself up to it. Open yourself up to meeting your other half. And then whenever you're not even really thinking about it anymore, you just open and release and let the world bring you abundance. Then you'll be able to meet this person. Okay. If that resonated, please let me know. This came in super powerfully. So I'm really excited that I was able to share these messages today. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye. Okay, if you picked group 3, then that means that in your past life, a lot of your growth had to do with your first house placement. So that means that yourself and the personality was a big part of your focus in your past life. So that could mean that in this life, that's also kind of a part of your focus is yourself. And it could also mean, we can see whenever the cards come out, what else comes out. But it could also mean, too, that you are meant to, in this life, focus on others and not yourself. So we'll just see. We'll just see if you achieved this. Okay, we have 8 of Cups. Walking away from a relationship, walking away from something emotional that you put a lot of time and effort into. This was in your past life. We have Daughter of Coins. So this tells me too that you were kind of learning how to take care of yourself in a way. Your health, I think, was a big part of your past life. We also have the Hierophant here, so Taurus energy. This card is so intense. Look at that. It's creepy. I love it. But this kind of tells me too that you, I think, did a lot of what you were supposed to do. I think that ego led you a lot, because we have the self here, and then we have wanting stability, and then we have doing what you're supposed to do. So I feel the way that people thought about you was extremely important to you. I have forgive someone. That's going to be over here with that 8 of Cups. We'll see more what that means as we go on, because I don't know if this means in your past life or in your current life. If it's from your past life and being brought into this life, then that means that there might be a karmic or soulmate connection with somebody where you guys are meant to rekindle in this life. I shed habits that hinder my truth. I release and renew. So I feel like a part of your past life really big was about renewal and rebirth. You were probably meant to destroy the ego. Because if a lot of your focus was on stability and a lot of your focus was on what you were supposed to do and stability and things like that, then you might have had to shed that. New moon in Taurus, another Taurus sign. Prosperity lies ahead. So I feel like you expected prosperous things to happen because you were doing these steps and doing the things that you felt that you were meant to do. We have High Priestess here, so really big intuitive energy. I feel, and that's over here with that forgive someone card. So that tells me that intuitively, yeah, this is an intuitive soulmate connection. This is somebody from your past life. This is somebody who you guys ended on a bad note, and in this life you guys are meant to meet again. So let's kind of figure out exactly what that means, because it could mean that whenever you meet this person, you have a weird feeling about them at first, but also it feels very familiar. Like, you're like, I feel like I know this person, but also I kind of feel like I don't trust them. And then you could kind of like, this could be somebody too that you know for a long time, and that was just your initial meeting of them. We have Five of Pentacles reversed. I think this tells me that you lived a pretty comfortable life in your past life. You didn't really have to struggle too much. And then we have King of Swords reversed too. Yeah, I kind of get the feeling too that you said whatever you wanted and you didn't really care if it hurt other people's feelings. We've got ego here. Yeah, I feel like you were meant to destroy your ego in your past life. I'm just going to say that again. And then we have choice here, very difficult choice. There was a choice that you were meant to make in your past life, and this had to do with shedding your old habits, shedding yourself. And let's see if you were successful in this, because if you weren't, then that means that that is a part of your life path in this life as well, is to release and let go of the ego. So we'll see. We have death. Yep, that's over here with that Daughter of Coins. So death to stability. This was something that was taken away from you. Also seasons. So everything that happens in our life is temporary. Things have to end. New things start, you know? And we live in cycles. And so it's important to kind of like understand our cycles so we're not surprised or hurt whenever they come back up again, because it happens. It's going to keep happening, you know? And we have the World. So I feel like once you're able to understand your cycles and you're able to understand when your ego shows up, it'll give you the opportunity to kind of embrace the world a little bit more. I feel like you at this point don't really feel like you have many opportunities. And I feel like it's a part of this ego trip, this ego element that's meant to be released. I have High Priestess again. So High Priestess has shown up twice now. Intuition, and this helps you with making difficult choices, but you have to release the ego in order to understand and listen to your intuition, right? Because the ego is not our intuition. The ego actually harms us, because it did protect us as children whenever dealing with like other mean people at school, or dealing with your parents if your parents were emotionally unavailable or possibly abusive. Your ego protected you, but whenever you become an adult, it just like sabotages your relationships because it's protecting you first. So instead of allowing yourself to love freely, because I mean, when we love anybody, we will eventually lose them. And that doesn't mean that we'll stop being friends with them. That means that eventually at some point their human body will die. And you will also die, right? That's not new. But our ego is afraid of death. Our ego is afraid of change. Our ego wants things to stay the same. Our ego protects us from ever loving anybody because it doesn't want us to lose that person, you know? Whenever, like, that's not really living, you know? You're not a child anymore. You've already experienced and will continue to experience these moments of suffering. Suffering and happiness are equal, you know? So it's important for you to embrace whenever both are happening, because I'm not going to say it's meant to happen. I mean, many people believe that, and if you believe that, that's okay. So I'm not going to say that anything is necessarily meant to happen, but things happen the way that they do, right? So I feel like it is important for you in this life to open yourself up more. I feel like your ego, I feel like it is opening up enough. I mean, you're watching a spiritual video, so that means obviously you're interested in spirituality. You're interested in probably shadow work. So especially if you're watching me, because I'm all about shadow work, inner child healing, stuff like that. So it's really important for you in this life to release those ego thoughts. Ego thoughts can be things like, how dare this person blank? How could that person see me as blank? It's annoying to me that people always judge me over blank. These are all ego thoughts, because whenever you drop the ego, you realize that that is all about themselves. That has nothing to do with you. Their ego is speaking. They're speaking from a place of fear. When someone's angry at you, or, you know, like yelling at you, what they're expressing to you is, I'm afraid. So it's important to kind of like, I don't feel safe, you know? So it's important for you to kind of like figure out what exactly it is that's making them not feel safe. Of course, some people are just going to stay in that mind state because they have to figure out for themselves how they can make themselves feel safe and soothe themselves and stuff like that. You're not meant to do that for other people. But it's just kind of like, you're meant to do it for yourself, I guess is what I'm saying. We have 8 of Pentacles here, so working on projects. Yeah, that actually tells me, and that confirms that you have been working on it. You have been working on your ego work and stuff like that. I feel like in your past life you didn't succeed. So in this life you're already kind of doing the ego work because you feel like that's where you're being driven. We have Knight of Pentacles. So the seeds are being planted in this life in a way you didn't have to in your past life, is the message I'm getting here. In your past life, I feel like you were just kind of taken care of. And oh my gosh, look at this. We have the Hierophant again. So Taurus energy again. I feel like you're meant to release Taurus energy. If you're a Scorpio rising, what up? So am I. Also, Scorpio North Node as well. If that's you, what up? But yeah, I feel like in this life you are meant to do something different. And you're not meant to solely focus on stability. Stability can be good in a lot of ways, but I feel like a lot of your work has to do with ego work. We have Page of Swords reversed. I feel like this tells me in your past life that you, once again, didn't think too much about the way you communicated with others. I feel like it just didn't matter to you. I feel like you had nobody you had to impress. Like you were just like, I'm getting the feeling you were probably royalty or was rich or something like that. So I feel like you didn't have to worry about the way that you approached other people or talked to other people because you were around people who had to obey you. So you didn't really take much time to like get to know the people around you, like figure out exactly what was going on with them, anything like that. I also get the feeling too that you didn't feel trapped in your past life. You were like, everything's good for me, you know? I guess that you were meant to face your ego and you didn't, you know? In your past life, your whole life was about your ego. Your whole life was about me. And like, you know, that's not necessarily, you know, a terrible experience. Like, if you always lived like, you know, a child, then you never really had to see the real true darkness that lives in the world. We have 3 of Wands reversed. So that tells me kind of that you didn't really build anything for yourself, passion or creativity wise, because if you're not exposing the ego and you're not doing shadow work, sometimes too that can block your creativity because like somebody with a really strong ego isn't even going to try art. You know, they're not even going to like put any time or effort into it because if they're not instantly good at it, then they don't want to do it. And nobody is instantly good at art. Some people do have a talent for it. Some people have a natural tendency to it, but those people still have to spend a long time getting good. You know, nobody just like picks up a pencil for the first time and can draw a perfect portrait. So I feel like in your past life, you didn't really like focus on that stuff as much. So I feel like you didn't really lay any groundwork whenever it came to like your passion. And then we have 7 of Wands here too. And that gives me the idea actually that you probably had very strong boundaries with other people around you because you were so about yourself that you were able to be like, no, that's not something I want to be a part of, you know? And you were real quick to be like, no, that's not me. And I feel like in your past life that did benefit you because you were able to live out like, you were able to live maintaining your ego. And many of us, our ego breaks, especially now that we're all having a spiritual awakening collectively. For a lot of us, we are seeing other people's egos break. We're having ego death, you know? So I feel like it's important for you in this life to shed the ego. Let me know below what your north node is or what your rising sign is, or you can DM me if you want. And we can kind of see how that correlates with this reading, you know? And figure out possibly like what it is that your life path and your purpose is here based on your past life. All right. Leave a comment if this resonated, if you feel in your soul, like deep down, that this is a part of the work you're meant to do now, if you feel like this is a part of your past life, like if you feel like a fish out of water because you have to work hard in this life, but in your past life you didn't, like that's okay, you know. With my North Node in Scorpio, and my South Node in Taurus, that means that my past life was just I just lived in comfort. So in this life, I'm meant to kind of like attack my ego. I'm meant to embrace the shadow, turn darkness into light, things like that. So I feel like for you guys, this is probably very similar work. This spread could have also been for me as well. So I'm a part of this collective energy here. And yeah, so let's work on ego death, you know? Embrace it, allow it in at this point, and just do what you gotta do. I will see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and thanks for watching me. Bye.